Welcome back, dear children. This is the second video for the day. This is class 9 chapter 2, and we are taking another topic called Determinants of Supply. Now, what determines the supply? So whether the supply, always keep in mind that supply is created by the supplier, but in the previous class we learned that the demand was created by the consumer. So that was consumer's point of view, and this is from supplier's point of view. So supply is created by the supplier. So in this background, let us see why sometimes the supply is more and why is it less. The first is the price of the commodity. If the price of the commodity is less, that means if the supplier sells it at a less price, if they get less money, then the profit is less, so they will supply less. But if they can sell it at a higher price, then the profit will be more, hence they would like to supply more. Second is the objective of the producer. Now, what is the objective of the producer? Is the producer trying to maximize the profit or trying to maximize the sale or reducing the risk factor? If this is the case, then they will have to increase their supply. And if not, if they are normally, for the sake of having a business, if they are producing and selling it, then the supply will be normal. But if they are trying to maximize their profit, then that is possible only at a higher supply. Hence, their supply will increase. Next is the price of factors of production. Factors of production are those commodities which are required to produce a given commodity. Like to prepare tea, you need milk, water, sugar. These things are the factors of production. Okay, so if the factors of production, its price increases, if the price of the factors of production increase, then the commodity will be, producing the commodity will be expensive, but it will be sold at the same price, no? So it will reduce the profit for the supplier. It will reduce the profit for the supplier, and hence it will reduce the profit for the supplier, hence the supply will be less. But if the price of the factors of production decrease, but they can sell at the same price, that means they can produce cheaper but sell at the higher price, same price. So the profit will be more, hence the supply also will be more. Next is the price of related commodities. Now for this, take the example of tea and coffee. If the price of coffee increases, less people will buy coffee. But what will those people do? They will start buying tea. That means the supply of tea will have to be increased. Similarly, if the price of coffee decreases, so more people will start buying coffee, no? The tea consumer also will start buying coffee. Hence the supply of tea will decrease. Next is the technique of production. Technique of production. If a producer is using outdated technologies, his production will be less, profit will be less, hence supply also will be less, because his caliber and the capability to produce is also less. Whereas on the other hand, if a producer is using all the modern technology and the advanced technologies, tools and technology, then he can produce quickly and in a better quantity at the quality. Hence, since he is producing at a very fast pace, his profit also will be more. Hence, he would like to earn more and more profit. He would like to increase his supply. So that is the technique of production. Next is the structure of industry. Now, what is the structure of the industry? Means what kind of industry is this? Is it monopolistic industry? Is it monopoly or competitive? Let me tell you in few words what are the monopoly and what are the competition. In monopoly, there is only one supplier. In competitive market, there is a large number of buyers and sellers. So what happens if the market is monopoly? If the market is monopoly, then the supplier's supply can be increased or decreased anytime, depends upon the profit. In order to make more profit, artificial scarcity can be created. So the commodities, the price can be increased, and when it is supplied more, they will get more profit. But this is not possible if it is a competitive market, because in competitive market there is a large number of buyers and sellers. If I don't, on my own I cannot create a scarcity. If I don't supply today, then there will be no scarcity, because there are several others suppliers supplying the same product. So I cannot create scarcity and increase the price. So it depends upon the structure of industry. Next is the natural factor. Sometimes the supply also depends upon the natural factor. If we have too much of rain these days we are having, so the price of commodities have gone up. The price of vegetable have gone up because there is a scarcity. Okay. Sometimes if there is no rainfall at all, it marks the production, agricultural production. Agriculture production, there will be shortage, supply will be less. If there is a good rainfall, then good production will be there, and hence the supply also will be high. So several such natural factors are there that decides the production. If adverse natural factors do occur and very frequently, it will spoil the supply, less will be the supply. And if the nature is very favorable, then the supply will be better. Next is the taxation subsidy. If the tax is higher, is increased, then this tax will be added to the price of the commodity, which will be expensive. And if the price will become expensive, it will reduce the profit. Hence the supply will be less. On the other hand, subsidy is something which is returned to you by the government, like LPG subsidies we get. That is considered as a profit. So if the subsidy is increased, if the tax is increased, profit will decrease, supply will be less. But if the subsidy is increased, that's increasing in the profit. So if the profit increases, then the supply also will be more. Next is the price expectation. Expectation to fall as well as the expectation to rise. If the producer is expecting a fall in the price in near future, then if he stores the commodity and sells in future, he will have to bear a loss. And to avoid this, he will have to clear his stock and bring it to zero. He can avoid further losses. But if he is expecting a profit in future, then he will stop supply. He will store, he will produce and store. And when will he supply? When the price has increased. So such kind of expectation also influences the supply. Agreement among producers. If the producers can come together and have an agreement, and if there is such agreement, then they can monopolize the supply of a commodity in the market. They may stop the production, create artificial scarcity, and increase the price and supply. You can supply more, so it will face them more profit. Though it brings a loss to the consumer, but it will of course bring the more profit to the supplier, and hence they would like to supply more. And the last one is the availability of transport and communication facility. If it is good, if the transportation and communication facility is good, then more will be the supply. A supplier can supply more and more. But if it is not good, then difficult is the supply, and hence the supply will also decrease. So these are some of the factors that decides whether the supply is more or less, or should increase or should become less. So dear children, we shall stop today, but you should listen to this several times, and next week will be the law of supply. So till then, take care of yourself, listen to the video several times, and enjoy each and every moment of life. Thank you.